Coach, just first and foremost, appreciate the time. Just talk about this weekend. What the last regular season weekend of the year. I know you're coming off of some good performances this past weekend. Just I guess give your kind of summary of how things are here as you move into the final regular season weekend of the year.
Yeah, a lot on the line for us. Still playing for home ice and just such an exciting weekend for the league, really. I think 1 through 7 still needed to be sorted out. 8 and 9 fighting for home ice, and 10 through 12 still being sorted out too for the seeding. So, I mean, to be going into the last weekend and have every single team be playing for a lot, that makes it really fun. So, for us, it's been a really fun semester. We've had a lot of huge wins, and I think what we really like about the last couple weekends is just the way we're playing. It felt like we were even with the Bean Pot and our win in Belfast and some wins early in the semester, we didn't necessarily play very well. And so, if you can find ways to win, that's great. But just in terms of the 60-minute efforts we've been putting out and playing to our identity, I think we've taken huge steps the last couple weekends. Really like the way we're playing, and now it's just about continuing that here in the last weekend of the regular season.
I watched um, your media availability from last week, and you mentioned having lost to Quinnipiac and Princeton, and then to kind of turn around and to pick up a tie and a win. How pleased were you with how the team played last weekend?
Yeah, it was great. I thought played a really good game against Quinnipiac. They're a tough team and really especially liked our third period and felt like that's kind of where we started on Saturday. Had a good start. Princeton really brought it though. They were flying. So what we liked about Saturday was just, we were down 1-0 and 2-1, end up winning that game 3-2. And just, our kill was big. I think our 5-on-5 play, we were yeah, again, just playing to our identity, playing tough, physical. Really like what we're creating offensively. We've gotten some goals from our power play the last couple of games. So just a lot of things clicking, and Ainsley's been playing really well in the net for us. So that was a big weekend. And like you said, I mean, we had talked about it. We want to be taking points from every team. So hadn't done that against those guys, and felt like, felt good about getting 4.5 points last weekend.
You mentioned also last week one of the team's goals was to be in a position to host a first round playoff game, and you guys are obviously in that position. You can only focus obviously on what your side is doing is can do, but is the goal really 2 wins and hope to at least get up to 8, that sort of thing for the weekend?
Definitely. Yeah, when it comes to the playoffs, then it's going to be about winning no matter where we're at. You're at some point you got to take your show on the road no matter what in the playoffs. So that won't be too much of the focus, and it'll really just about getting it done. But right now we're in a spot where that can be a focus. Like how do we play another game at home here? We're like you said, we're in position to do so. We can only control so much of that, and I think we've done a really good job on just focusing on ourselves and us playing well and taking as many points as we can. If we can be a point better than St. Lawrence this weekend, obviously we can host and that'd be great. But again, we only can control how we play, and we know we're gonna, it's tough on the road. Looking forward to getting to Union's rink. It looks beautiful. But we know that both games are gonna be tough. These guys were tough matchups early in the first half as well. We got off to a great start against Union, but really for the second and third period, I thought they were probably the better team. And then RPI, beat us in our own building. So we know both these teams are going to be ready and they want points too. And it's going to be a great weekend for us, good test for us to try to continue playing well and take as many points as we can.
Yeah, you mentioned the quick start that Morgan, I think, was the one who scored about 48 seconds in, and you guys had a 4-0 lead. I guess obviously that's big to get a goal in the first minute, but what more, I guess, more broadly, what have Morgan and Carla as first year players leading the teams in goals? What have they kind of brought to this team offensively this year?
Yeah, I mean it's great when you get offensive contributions from those guys has been awesome. But I think Carla's a really smart player. Morgan works her tail off. She's extremely gritty. And I think, what those guys have done for us is really, helped us drive possession. So obviously they're showing up on the score sheet. But I really think, especially with the minutes they're playing, the situations that they're in, for them to be able to really help us drive possession, win more draws this year. I mean, basically every offensive category for us is up this year. And I think a big part of that is our first years and what they've brought, and also our returning players just keep getting better. I think we have 8 or 9 players having career years outside of that first year group. So of our returning players, um, yeah, 8 or 9 of them are just having huge offensive production, and it's not even just about that. I think the way our penalty kill's been clicking, has been huge for us too. Obviously, we're getting good performances in the net, so a lot of things going well, but just have been really impressed from Morgan and Carla. It's not easy to step into college hockey and make an impact right away, but we've been able to rely on them, and they're getting a lot of really good experience through it.
Um, you mentioned the goalie play. I know, all three goalies have seen action. And you mentioned, that Emily and Izzy have made good contributions, but Ainsley seems to have really taken the torch here. Um, I guess just talk about that goalie position as a whole and what she's been able to do. I mean, I think she's number one in the country in save percentage.
Yeah, I believe she is, and that's a really good category to be number one in. Obviously, it helps us as a team. Yeah, she's had, I think, an especially strong second half here, starting with our trip to Belfast. She played really well over there and has just carried it through. And super athletic kid, just does a great job in there, reading plays, anticipating, can get to A to B pretty quickly, and has good size, covers a lot of net. So, I mean, all of our goalies, I think, prepare on a really high level. Our goalie coach, Cami Cronish, whether it's the video, goalie sessions, how they work in practice. I mean, they're working all the time. I think they've made our team better every day, and it's certainly Ainsley's had a really good second half and has been very reliable in there for us.
Can you talk about? I think yeah, it came out. Everyone, all of the programs representatives, or for the Mandy Schwartz Award. You played in this league. What does that honor mean? And Kate, who's been recognized as your guys' nomination, what that kind of means.
I think the award is extremely meaningful. Mandy Schwartz's story is one of resilience, and what a great family, wonderful people, and just the impact she's made at Yale and then in our league was remarkable. So, it's always an honor. And I think for Kate, she's like the heart and soul of our team. Fantastic leader. She's been a great captain this year. She made a position switch from D to forward this year in her senior year and has been awesome, and just has become a PK specialist for us, which we've relied on a lot, particularly in the Beanpot Championship game. So, she's, yeah, our heart and soul of our team, and can't say enough positive things about Kate. She just wants our team to have success, whatever that means for her. She's all about the team, and that's her mentality. And we've been really fortunate to have her as our leader this year.
And then uh, I guess more for you, or about you. I mean, you're coaching at your alma mater. This is your third year. You The results, obviously, the wins have come. There's been more winning this year. I know your goal is to get this program back to where it's been before and on the national stage. What has this process been like, though, for you coming back, and some of these older, veteran players kind of experiencing some of the struggles, but then also it seems like turning a corner here in year three.
Yeah, I'm very grateful to have the opportunity that I do. It's an honor to be back here. I love Harvard. Like you said, I want to get this program back to where I believe it can be, which is very much in the national picture and consistently going to NCAA tournaments. And that's just the kind of thing that doesn't happen overnight, especially at an Ivy League school. And so, yeah, it takes some time, and I think we've been building from day one. And sometimes it takes some time to really see the results. So I think especially for our older players, really our whole team, but especially our older players, just the resilience, sticking with it. And, now we're kind of seeing some of those results, which I think is very, fulfilling as a coach to be able to see that and have our players have the experiences that they have, especially, this year in the second half here. To be able to win hockey games and come together and play a certain way and do that consistently. It's been extremely gratifying. And obviously, I think we've done a lot of work. We've come a long way. And my mentality is we have a lot of work to do and a long way to go because that's what's fun about it. We're learning and getting better every day. And it's just been an absolute pleasure to coach this group. I absolutely love our team.
You made an interesting uh, note in that it takes some time to see results. Sometimes, especially nowadays, it seems like people want to see results before maybe they even see, before they even put in the work. Uh, you know, and I'm not generalizing necessarily about kids today or anything, but in terms of programs and kind of turning the ship, because Union's got a second year head coach, you're in your third year. Talk about maybe a little bit more about taking time to see results and kind of how it takes some time to get your systems kind of in place.
Yeah, I mean, I think you said it. It takes a lot of work. We probably do, we know we live in a world where things tend to happen quickly and you press a few buttons and you got a meal on your porch, that kind of mindset. It's crazy what we're able to do now. But sports haven't changed and rebuilds haven't changed. Like it's a lot of work. It's a lot of getting on the same page from a value perspective. The messaging side of it, what we're trying to do, what we're willing to do to get there. It's just, yeah, it takes time. Obviously, for us, like it's our players who were here, making sure they getting on the same page with them as quickly as we could, and then you're also recruiting players for the future, which is always a part of it as well in college hockey. So then what you want to do is have that all come together and build a team that not only plays a certain way but cares about each other a certain way and treats each other well and plays for each other ultimately. And I think that's what we've seen with our group, which has been really powerful. But yeah, there's the hockey side of it, the teaching, and just needing to have experience in both practices and games over time that start to move the needle. But it's just one of those things that doesn't happen overnight. And the patience is what kind of goes an especially long way this day and age. And so yeah, it's taken a couple of years, but that's I think what we expected from the beginning. And like I said, we know we have a lot of work ahead of us too. So we plan to do it and be diving headfirst into it, and just look forward to continuing to progress forward with this group.
If you had to pinpoint one or two keys to victory this weekend, I know you mentioned that the Union and RPI games were very tough physical games. So, kind of the mentality going in, and if you could pinpoint just one to two kind of keys to victory, if you want to talk, say it that way.
Yeah, I would say just, we really obviously we're getting really good goaltending, and I've liked the way we played defensively. I think, shot volume wise, would like to be giving up fewer shots, but by and large, I think we've been defending really well. And for our group, it's scoring goals. How do we get to three? When we get to three, we tend to win games or put ourselves in a really good spot. So just working a ton the last couple weeks on having the puck, creating, getting inside ice, supporting the puck well, and some of that is individual play, getting off the wall and driving in net, and then ultimately it's going to be like five-player offense too. How do we, from a tactical perspective, make sure we make it hard on other teams? So to me, that's a huge, huge point of emphasis going into the weekend. And just wanting us to progress in that way and take a step forward. I think, you know, in terms of how they play, like we know they're going to shut it down, be hard to play against both these guys. And they certainly have goal scorers who can put pucks away. But I think for us, it's really focusing on the offensive side. And like I said, too, I mean, we've been getting goals from our power play, which helps a ton. So that'll continue to be a focus.